You failed for that time, but you haven't failed yet. Hey guys, s.k.y here with s.k.y. Thank you for joining us for today's topic of the dreaded feeling, the stinging feeling of failure in our lives. But before we get into this topic, I want to welcome all of you who are new. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and most importantly, like and comment below. Tell me what you think about today's talk. Definitely want to hear about it, but it also feeds the algorithm. All right, so let's get into today's talk. Yes, that dreaded feeling, that stinging in our hearts when it's our fault, when I failed, when something, even if it's not our fault, we fail a project, we fail a test, we fail something at work, we fail at marriage, we fail in relation, just so many different failures that we have, and it just crushes our spirit. Now, how can we get over this type of thing? Because this feeling is so crushing. You never want to go through it again, so people just stop trying altogether. I mean, you guys know it, right? It's like, oh man, I've been through this, I don't want to do this again. And you just don't want to go through it, right? But what I'm going to talk about today is going to be really cool because it's not going to be a motivational talk like, hey, you loser, you shouldn't do that, you got to be stronger, you got to get back up every time you get punched in the face, and just kind of like, ugh. He's like, I don't want to get punched in the face, but get back up and get punched again. I'm like, no, I don't want to get punched in the face, right? So I'm not going to do a motivational talk. I'm going to talk a little bit more deeply as when it comes to our mindset, our mentality, or our perception, the way that we think about this word failure. All right, so what about failure? How can I learn about failure that's going to help me for the future? Now, number one is the most important topic I'm going to talk about today is learning about yourself, or learning about who we are. Right? Not you as an individual, but we as human beings and as a species. So who are we? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to go way back in time. Right? For me, it's way back, right? So you go way back in time when? All the way back to when you were a newborn baby just coming out of your mom's stomach. Do you remember? Obviously not, right? So a lot of us are gonna be like, man, I never remember that. How am I gonna remember this? And the answer is you're not gonna remember because you probably didn't even have a memory at that time. So here's the interesting thing is, how am I gonna know what I'm like if I can't even remember what I was like when I was born? Easy. We see babies all the time. Like when, at church, newborns everywhere. I love babies. Newborns are everywhere. You go to school, you hear about people's new brothers and sisters or your friends and family, just so many different places in the world. You just go out to the park, so many babies out there. Now here's the thing. While looking at these babies, we're able to understand what all babies are like, right? And this is why when I ask you certain questions, we'll all know the answers. Example, when the baby comes out of the womb, like the moment the head pops out, would it be weird, normal, or scary if the head pops out and the baby says, "Salutations, mother. Thank you for all that hard work for giving me birth. I love you." Now, if your baby said that, and if it said especially like the way I did, that's scary, right? And you're like, nope, I think we would never see anything happen like that. Or what if the moment they cut the umbilical cord, the baby pops up and starts running around the room, around the table, like, ha, 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 and starts running around? That would be scary too. It doesn't happen. When we look at babies, when they're born, yes, they're cute and they're beautiful and amazing, but they're kind of stupid, right? Like they don't know anything. Babies are born blank sheet, know absolutely nothing about anything. They can't walk, they can't talk, they can't even do the simple tasks of thinking, simple mathematics. They don't know anything, right? These dumb little people. It's true. We all know this. However, so my question now is, well, what does that mean? That means what? It means human beings are what type of species? We are learning species. We are learning from the moment we come out of our parents' womb. Well, not parents, our mother's womb, right? Right? The moment we come out, we're learning. We don't know how to walk or talk or anything else. And put it this way, guys. When the baby starts to walk for the first time, what happens? Falls on its face. Second time, falls on its face. 10th time, 100th time. It doesn't learn how to walk that easily. It keeps making mistakes over and over and over and over again. Think about that. Thousands upon thousands of tries before the baby finally learns how to kind of walk. What about speaking? How many times does a baby have to learn before finally it can pronounce the word properly? Tens of thousands of attempts over and over and over again. Human beings are a learning species. We have to realize that about ourselves. We are a learning species. And what does that mean? If we're learning, it means that there is always a process of when we master something or learn something well to the point we can do it proficiently, right? What does that mean? It means that we are constantly making mistakes along the way, no matter what. Until when? Until you're 40, until you're 50. There's so many things we don't know in life that we're always learning all the time. So the first thing I want to tell you through this, understanding that we're a learning species, the first thing that you have to really understand is there is a big difference between mistakes and failure. Mistakes are a part of the process. It's part of growth. It's part of learning. Why? Because we don't know. Even when you're an adult, you're learning constantly. The biggest misconception we have in our mind is because I'm an adult, I should be able to do this well from the beginning. And that's not true. We're gonna make mistakes no matter what. In whatever we learn for the first time, second time, third time, we're not gonna be that good, and we're gonna make mistakes along the way. Then what's the difference between a mistake and a failure? Mistakes are part of the process. Failure is more of an end result, right? It is an end result. And even when there's a failure at an end result, here's the thing. When you look at life itself, life is not one of those things where it's just like, it starts, ends, and then now it's completely over and it can never be redone. Most of the things that we do in life can be redone. Most of them can. Right? There's very few things where you have one shot and it's done. Very, very few things. I'll give you an example of a one shot and you're done thing, okay? And this is super extreme because I don't know very many things that are one shot and it's over. Example, there is a 6-lane highway and all the cars are going 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers an hour, and you bet your friend, hey man, I bet you I can run across this freeway, 6 lanes, without dying. And if you fail, you die. And it's over, right? It's basically over. You're dead. Right? That's like, very few situations are like that where it finally ends. But in most cases, let's take a look at a test. Let's say you take a course, and this is the one course you need to graduate from university. If you fail the final, have you failed? And the answer is you failed for that time. But you haven't failed yet. You're like, what? But you failed the test. You failed the course. You did fail the course. But it's not like you can't take the course over again. You know what I mean? You could take the course over again. And if you succeed the next time, yes, you might have failed the first time, but now you can get your graduation. But on your graduation certificate, it's gonna say, graduated, but failed the course once. It's not gonna say that. Once you graduate, it's done. Right? Even when it comes to a job, you might fail a job interview, someone else gets a job interview, but does that mean you fail in getting a job? No, you don't. You might fail in that job or that time, but you can always get another job, right? There's very, very few things where it's the final ending. Very, very few things. Even making money, there's no such thing as final making money because you can always make money. But why can't I make money like that? You might not be able to make money like that, but you could still make money, right? One of the big things you have to understand about failure is this. In most cases, failure happens because you chose to stop. Or in other words, you chose to quit. You could have done it again. You could have tried it again. You could have learned from it and done better. But you chose to stop, and that's why it became a failure. I guess a simple definition of failure is when you quit. Even marriage. Marriage is very interesting, guys, because you get married and then you fail at the marriage and there's a divorce. Are you a failure in marriage? Yeah, you failed in that marriage, but you can still learn from it. You can still grow from it. You can get remarried and be successful in marriage, in that marriage. It's true. There's a lot of different things in life where it's not the end, but in our minds we think, it's over, it's the end of the world. And the answer is, it's not the end of the world. It's not. There are very, very few things in life where it's the end of the world. And it's so few that in most cases, you will never confront these things. Maybe once or twice in your life, maybe. but you're not. So if anything else, guys, I really want to change your perception of what failure is. And I just want you to think about, oh, am I just making a mistake, or am I really failing at these things? And when we go, I know the feeling is terrible, but the first thing that has to change is the way that you see failure. A lot of times, you just made a mistake, but you turned it into a failure by quitting at that moment. All right, everyone, I hope you guys had a wonderful 2020 and this beginning of 2021 with these talks. Go ahead, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. But I really want to hear what you guys think about these talks. So put some of those comments in, like this if you really like it. If you don't like it, put a thumbs down. I'm okay with it. Actually, I'm not okay with it. Okay, I'm okay with it. All right, everyone have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again next week. Later.